And we're live. All right, we're recording. Welcome to Just Cool Enough, the pre-show. We already had a kind of a pre-show, so I guess I should just start the show already.
It's not even time.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck,
you're
Eric.
like 3 minutes early, dude.
Fuck
You're blowing
you.
your load.
No, I'm not blowing my load. I'm just getting things started early.
The show doesn't start for another 3 minutes.
Fine, then we're gonna sit here in silence for 3 minutes.
It's fine by me.
We don't want to blow our load early and then be 3 minutes.
I have a
early.
union contract that says I can't start the show until 7 o'clock EST.
What do you? No wonder you don't get paid. All your money's going to union dues. All right.
I'm a tough union boss, but I'm fair.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to pay him for it.
Eric has been embezzling all the money that we've been trying to pay Ike. Like, Eric's handling all the finances.
No, Ike's the only one in the union.
It's true.
I wish I could be into it, but the dues are too high.
Ike, what's your union called?
Well, I mean, I didn't get to choose the name since Eric's the the go-to guy on it, so I just kind of got to go with it.
Yeah, it's called Venmo. He just
Wow. All right then.
It's called BlizzCon.
Right. It's called BlizzCon. The union's called. God damn it! It's called BlizzCon 07. Fuck that union.
No, that's when we formed it. So it was an
Well, actually, the thing I'm actually a scab worker. I'm not part of the union. I've been sitting in for the original host of the show for
no, it's actually
250 episodes.
No, but the thing is, the union dues come out of your paycheck. So that's why your paycheck's so small, because it comes directly out of it. And to me, the union boss.
Eric's been embezzling. You're a crooked union boss. You're going the way of Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, I mean we've been doing this show 5 years, so I'm like another $200 away from embezzling all that money. I'm like $200 away from buying an Xbox.
It's true.
Another 10 years, maybe I'll have enough.
Yeah, by the time we retire, we might be able to. Well, with inflation, actually, we probably won't be able to do much. So.
No, well, you have to kind of also anticipate that there will, in 10 years, be more Xboxes. So the Xbox One at that point will probably be cheap enough.
Oh, no, not an Xbox One. I'm talking about buying an actual original Xbox.
Oh, okay.
$200 away from buying an original Xbox.
Donate to Just Cool Enough today.
I started this 5 years ago with the intention that I wanted to buy an Xbox because mine broke.
All right. Hello, Internet. I'm Joe.
I'm Eric.
And you're 17 seconds late, Joe.
Oh, you
And you're listening.
Please start the show on time.
Who cares? You're listening to Just Cool Enough, and can anyone tell I woke up 5 minutes ago?
Yes, your hair's not as shiny clean. Why? Are you not going out after the show this week, Eric?
I am, but not till 11, so I got time. I was like, I'm going to take a nap. I was like, I'll take a nap for like 20 minutes. And I took a nap for 20 minutes. I was like, 20 minutes is not enough. I know this. I've researched sleep. You need an hour and a half. I was like, I'll sleep till 3. So I reached over my phone, and I went boop, 3 o'clock. Woke up, and I'm like, I'm hot. I was like, oh, hey, I woke up before I intended to. Oh, wait, that says 3:49, not 2:49. And I look at my phone. I was like, why didn't it wake me up? And it's like, are you sure you want to set your alarm? And it's at that stage I didn't hit okay. I didn't confirm it. So it's like, not anymore.
I do this. I always set my alarm with the Google thing. So I'm like, okay, Google, set an alarm for 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. It worked.
Oh.
See, and then it
And
just
then you
does it
actually
for
turn
you.
on vibrate so you don't actually hear it.
No, this doesn't vibrate. It's a tablet.
Set an alarm for 8 in the morning.
Let's see if this works. See?
All right, this is your alarm for 8 a.m. Do you
Boom!
want to save this alarm?
Yes.
Give Eric a blowjob at 8:01 a.m.
I got headphones on.
Okay, I saved your
I'm just
alarm
yelling in
for
your
8
ear.
a.m.
Okay, thank you. I will be scheduling the blowjob at 8:01 a.m.
Thanks, Galaxy. You're my only real girlfriend.
You're my favorite real girlfriend. Galaxy S5. Hey, speaking of phones, Ike, you got a new phone.
Yeah, I got the new iPhone 6 Plus.
Yeah, but can you talk
Totally
to
bends
it?
in your pocket.
I don't know anything about the iPhone, so I'm pretty sure that it doesn't have any talking to things, and the lady does things.
So wait,
No.
like if I was gonna call it a feature, I'd call it beery. But no, so Ike, you had a shitty plan last week that I made fun of, I think, or maybe you told me this after the show. You're like, I'm gonna go watch, I'm gonna go stand in line for the iPhone and see if I can get one. And I was like, that's a dumb plan, Ike. But you got
How did it
one.
work out for? It didn't exactly work out from what I've heard.
It didn't quite work out, but it did in the end.
Wait,
And since
okay,
he
no.
told this story, I'm going to tell the story so he doesn't have to talk. Because it's in his union contract that he doesn't get. He only gets so much time. Yeah.
Pay your union dues, Ike, you lazy bastard. I'm just a scab worker. I feel really out of place saying things like this, but Ike, you should pay your union dues. Ike, tell me about your story. I want to hear what happened about your phone. I don't want Eric to say it for you. Use your words.
So I was like all ready on Friday. I'm like, okay, I know there's going to be a line there, but I have the short, because I go from one school to another school. So I'm like, I know I have from 10:30 to 12:30 to try to get this phone. So I go to the Apple store in Providence on my way there, from one school to the other. And there's an incredibly long line there. I'm like, there's no way. It's like 3-hour wait. There's no way I'm going to get this phone. So I decided I'm just going to go to the other school. And on my way to the other school, I'm like, maybe if I stop at the AT&T store, they'll have it. So I stopped there and they're like, actually, no, you can only pre-order it with us. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like, maybe I'll go to Best Buy. Maybe they'll have it. And I get to Best Buy and there's like 3 people in line. I was like, oh, yeah. So I get in line and I'm standing there and one of the sales associates walked by. I said, hey, listen, do you have any more of the 6 Pluses in stock? And he's like, actually, no, we don't. And the guy behind me was an Apple employee. And he said, actually, the only place to get a 6 Plus this early is from an Apple store.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, well, he's like, I'm like, I have to go to work, so I can't be in line. He's like, you can pick up a ticket and go back later. They'll hold it for you. I'm like, oh, thanks for that. I'm like, I wish I had known that when I was at the Providence Place Mall. So I go to work. It's the end of the day, 3:30. I even asked my boss if I can leave a little early. She's like, go for it. So I drive.
Can I leave early? I have to go be a consumer and support the economy.
So I'm driving back to Providence, and I call up the Apple store. I'm like, hey, listen, I heard that you guys might be running low. I know there's a big line. What are the chances that I can get one of these phones? Is it worth even showing up? And the one's like, well, I can't give you exact numbers because they're going so quickly, but you're probably better off ordering it online. So I'm like, well, I'm already on my way to Providence anyway. I'll take my chances. And I get there, and I get to the front of the line, and I felt really bad for the guy running the line, because there are a lot of Asian people in line.
And they all look the same to you, and that's racist.
No, here's the thing. These 2 Asians are getting in line in front of me. They're getting ready to get to the guy who gives them the ticket, and he goes, listen, I'm not trying to say anything, but I already gave out tickets today, and you can only have 1 ticket per day, and each ticket's only good for 2 phones. So again, I'm not saying anything, but I'm pretty sure I saw you guys here earlier today. And
this story got a lot more racist.
I know. He's like, listen, I just want to tell you that all of you look the same to me, and I'm going to assume.
Because I walked in into the building with the guy that was right in front of me. So that guy goes, no, I just got here. And the first woman, he's like, do you understand? They both said yes. So he sweeps them off to the side, like, I'll help you in a second. Just stand over here so I can get to this long line of other people who are white. Who I'm pretty sure. Of course, the guy who's handling the situation is African American too, which just made it that much better. But so I'm next in line. He's like, nope, sorry. He's like, we're all out of AT&T phones. If you come back tomorrow morning, we open at 9 o'clock. We're supposed to get another shipment in.
So what?
So I Saturday morning, I get up early.
So wait, no, that was the end of that? Like,
no, he beat the shit out of an Asian guy walking out of the store with a phone and took it. That's how he's got his phone.
So no, I didn't get it on Friday. Saturday I go back. I get up at 8 o'clock since the store opens at 9. I drive from Fall River to Providence. It's about a half hour. I show up. There's already a massive line there. And I'm standing in line, and a couple more people get in line behind me, and this one guy, who happens to be Asian, was standing behind me saying about how he's picking one up for his girlfriend, but he doesn't think there's going to be any more left in line because the line is so long and this and that. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, if you're trying to talk me out of getting out of line, it's not helping or not going to happen because he's not getting out of line, but he's trying to convince me that I should get out of line because they probably won't have any more.
Yeah, they'll probably run out by the time you get there. I'll be fine. But
yeah, I'll be behind you. I'll be good. So the security guard stops by. I say, hey, what do you think the chances are? And he's like, I don't know. I'll go ask. And comes back. He's like, well, they can't give exact numbers, but if you see this long line of Asian people in front of you, he didn't actually say that, but there was a long line of Asian people in front of me.
It was the same guy from yesterday. He's working his other job. He's like, you stand over there in the Asian line.
On the weekends, he does security.
I'm supposed to go to
during the night he's a TSA agent.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to King Richard's Fair that day too with Amanda, and she's getting her teeth done, which is why I was like, oh, well, you're getting your dentist appointment. I'll do this. It'll be really quick. So I thought.
Like points on her teeth.
So she just thinks I'm like a nut job because I'm standing in line for a phone that I may or may probably not gonna get.
I think you're a nut job.
So I hop out of line. I say to the Asian guy behind me, like, you know what? I'll just order online. There's too rich for my blood. So I get in my car, drive home. I get my little iPad out, and I go to order it. And it's like, would you like to pick it up and store it today?
What?
Like, hell yeah, I would. And I clicked it, and so at 10 o'clock when they opened, because they actually told me they weren't going to open until 10 instead of 9. At 10 o'clock, on the dot, I get an email, come pick up your iPhone. So I drive all the way back to Providence, and I walk down a little ways, and the long lines there. It's even longer than it was when I was there. And I say to the first Apple person, hey, listen, I pre-ordered my iPhone. Can I just, like, my 6 Plus? Oh, yeah, come right this way, right to the front of the line. Yeah, I walked right by, like, the two guys who were and I looked at one, I was like, dude, you should have, like, ordered it online. And I just walked straight to the front. It took me about 15 minutes, and I got out and left. And I was talking to the woman there. She's like, if those other two guys you're with actually probably hopped online and ordered it right now, they could probably skip the entire line, but people are just standing in the line because they don't understand that.
Because people just feel like it's fine to stand in. Like I don't understand that. Like it's not like they don't have phones. I'm pretty sure they all have a phone. They could all right there pull out their phone and be like beep beep beep.
It's a bunch of Apple. It's a bunch of Apple drones. So they're just like, well, I don't want to pull out my 4 or my iPhone 5 and look like an idiot. I don't have the 6 yet. So they're all like embarrassed to pull out their old phone. So that's why they sit there in line. Like, you broke the cycle. Congratulations.
Yeah, but then I found out yesterday that people have been bending their iPhone 6 Pluses in their pocket because they're wearing tight pants and their legs are sitting like this, and then the iPhone's across it, and they sit down in their car and it bends.
I carry a Nexus 7 in my pocket all the time, not bent yet. And so, like, what kind of tight-ass pants? And I wear tight pants. I like to show off my glutes. Like, that's my favorite thing.
Is that what you call your penis? Glutes? That's a weird nickname.
No, I call my balls my glutes.
Yeah, his penis is Bluto.
No, my penis is potato.
Bluto and glutes.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Italian mafia. Yeah, you don't mess with this guy. He's got Bluto and glutes behind him. Break your fingers.
It's actually the name of our union for some strange reason.
Bluto and glutes.
No, Bluto and the Galoots. You're Bluto, we're the Galoots. We're the Galoot brothers.
We're the Galooties.
Yeah. I'm Bluto, and these are my associates, the Galoot brothers. And then we just got baseball bats. Those like really tiny ones though that like are only for like hitting things, like have been shaved down.
And then like one guy has a really deep voice, like, I'm Jimmy Galoot, and the guy's like, hey, I'm Jimmy.
Yeah, it's like, and these are my associates, the Galoot brothers, and it's like, sup, and I'm like, sup, man.
Actually, all I say is, I am Galoot.
That's all.
You got a super deep voice, and you never say anything. But I've got the super high voice, but I'm the one prone to violence because I gotta prove something. What are you saying, man? Yeah, I sound like Kevin Hart.
Wow, that was quite the story to get your iPhone, Ike.
Yeah, but I got it and walked right by that. And I'm pretty sure the two guys like
the 6 Plus.
I got the 6 Plus because you gotta go big or go home.
Exactly. See, now everybody's finally catching up to what I've been doing. I've been having I have a tablet in my pants all day.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was watching Samsung, like, did this commercial where they're like, hey, remember 2 years ago when everyone said our phone was too fucking big? Well, fuck you. Remember they said, who needs a phone this big? Fuck you. We've been doing this shit for years, son.
Yeah, Samsung
And then
is
it's
like,
Samsung, kiss my nutsack, and literally just is a nutsack pressed to the screen, and it holds there for like 10 seconds. You're like, did my screen freeze? And then before you got to reach the button to like change the channel, it goes, bitch, kiss it, I said. Goes
and
away.
then goes to that quick cut to the next commercial.
One of my
Samsung's
kids-
like the kid in school that tries too hard to be cool. He came in the first day and he was like in a sweatsuit and like that wasn't like Nike.
Everyone's like, that's stupid.
Yeah, and then he's like, fuck, and then so he tried like a tracksuit the next day, and then like the next day he was like wearing designer stuff, but he just can't figure out.
No, Samsung's the guy who like comes in and like kind of tight pants and a short sleeve button down, and people are like, what is this? The 1980s grunge? What the fuck's wrong with you? And then like a week later, everybody like some fucking music video came out and made it look cool, so everyone's dressing like that, and Samsung's like, what the fuck, bro? I did that like 3 years ago. I did the watch. I got that shit. I already did that watch shit. You got the fucking Samsung watch. I don't understand what the fuck is that Apple Watch.
Why are we not cool yet? It's because
one of my students today was like, I wouldn't if I had a lot of money, I wouldn't invest in Apple. I was like, no, I would totally invest in Apple because people buy it for the name, and you're pretty much guaranteed that shit will work because they copy everything that was done at least 2 years ago. So it all is the best of like the parts of everything else that everyone's done.
That's the thing about Apple. Like back in like the 70s, it fucking took off and became gangbuster. Then it kind of died down. But it's not like invest today and be a millionaire tomorrow. But it's like invest 5 years ago and be pretty fucking comfortable now. Like it's just slowly sort of like going because people are still. I mean, fucking the iPhone is just half of phones are iPhones. Just think of that.
Well, that's what's crazy. Like, and people were worried, after Jobs kicked the bucket and the 4S was released. They're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? But then everybody's like, oh no, don't worry. Steve Jobs, he basically designed the iPhone 5. Don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. But so this big release that they did for the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Big. And this Apple Watch that they have, like it really was this is like the first generation of products that wasn't.
To pronounce it correctly, you have to hold your tongue when you say Apple. It's the Apple Watch.
Apple,
Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's reverence because you're not holding your tongue. You're stimulating, shoving your tongue inside Steve Jobs' dead asshole.
Anyway, so I mean, this is like a mature market now. All the cell phones that are out there, and for them to continually have, even though Samsung was trying to be the cool kid, they still have that cachet. I don't know if that'll ever run out. I mean, of course it'll run out.
They've got that name. They've got the name that. I mean, everyone else is struggling to catch up because it's like the same thing. It's weird. Like it's the exact same problem that PCs have, but a completely different result. Because PCs, like Apple's the only one who makes Apple products, and they make them themselves. They make them in-house. They use all their own software and OS, and you have to buy parts through them, and that's why everything's more expensive because you're getting it the brand. But fucking PCs are everywhere because anyone can make a PC and they're cheaper. But it's the exact same thing with phones, only different results. Because anyone can make a fucking Android phone. Windows phones, I think, a little bit more, a little different. But like Android phone, basically anyone can fucking do that. And iPhones are only Apple. Same with it. But fucking, they just came out at the right time. Nobody was doing phones like that until Apple came out. So they just they won the name.
No, they had a really innovative technology that blew the doors off of BlackBerry. BlackBerry rolled over.
Yeah.
They just came out with the square.
And then they let everyone else lead the way, though, and now they're riding.
Yeah, they had a good year or so, a couple of years where it was one of the few things. Like Android struggled to catch up because it wasn't. I don't know how soon it hopped in, but it did feel like the first year or so. If you had an iPhone or you had a flip phone that did dick,
You had a Razor, or an iPhone, or a BlackBerry.
Yeah, so it was they won the name. So now it's become synonymous. Like they took over. They do this, Apple. They take over words like podcast. It was originally called Netcast, but they said nope. They're for our iPods. We're calling it podcast, and now that's the name we use. So
Yeah.
like there are people who's like can I borrow your iPhone without and if someone said like hey can I borrow your iPhone for a second and maybe could call I would hand them my cell phone and they wouldn't I
don't know. I don't think iPhone is quite as
it's not
ubiquitous,
it's not as big and it never will
but
be
you know
big.
what? I even this morning on my way back I called my Nexus 7 an iPad. And I felt like I was like I aged 30 years that day.
That's the thing. The iPad is another market where nobody was really doing it the way that it was supposed to be done, and
why does Apple have that brand cachet? Like, is it just marketing? How can because and this is according to our commenters. We have Danny in the chat says wrong, Eric. Only 40% of Apple only owns 40% of the market, not 50.
Fact checkers.
It used to be more, but yeah, fucking 40% of the market is one brand of phone. That's a big fucking deal still. But I don't think
so. A brand like Ferrari, okay, I can relate to cars. A brand like Ferrari, they don't produce more than like 7,000 cars a year. They maintain a brand cachet, and they sell a shit ton of merchandise. So there's scarcity. But for Apple phones, they have the C, they have the iPhone 5, they have the 6s now. So what? I mean, how long are they going to be able to keep cashing in? And
it's not now. Apple's different because Ferrari makes supercars for the super rich. Apple make computers and cell phones for people who were willing to pay a little bit more. And even the cell phones are pretty reasonable with contracts and stuff. They basically cost the same as most phones. And the laptops are fairly much same. But it is not just marketing and branding. It's also design. I mean, the Apple products don't look like other products. They all look like Apple products. And functionality. I don't have an iPhone, but I have an iPad, which it's very intuitive how it all works. My MacBook Pro is it became my kind of default editing machine because I can take it anywhere. It's what I edit this show on now. It's what I do a lot of stuff on it because it's easy to use.
That's the hook for me. So I obviously everybody knows Apple design is really, really well put together. They make good products, and that's great. Industrial design is like my thing, so I love it. But their brand of services that they offer, where everything kind of just syncs together. Everybody knows this, it's gonna work right, and things like there's not one good podcasting app for Android. There's not
one reason that everything works together is also like I was talking with one of my students today. He's like, why don't you go with like a Droid or something? I said, well, I'm staying with the iPad or the Apple products because all my music's bought on iTunes and I have all my documents.
Once they get you
Apple Cloud, like I can't now get out of it without investing a huge amount of money and trying to shift everything out of Apple.
That's called they create a walled garden around you, and that's kind of what Android's starting to do too.
They're trying, but it's too scattered because like as you were saying, like I have iTunes on my iPad. I download all my podcasts through iTunes on my desktop. I could do it if I did it on my laptop. It would be iTunes. My phone, I can't. I have to like manually download things and stuff because there's a Samsung app that I don't fuck with that's like music, but there's no as you said, there's no default library for that. There's no default picture thing. Every phone's got its different picture thing. Everyone's got a different there's a default Twitter, which is fine. Default Facebook, which is great.
Well, that's because those apps are put out and maintained by Twitter and Facebook. Yeah.
And Gmail works great, but yeah, it's the same thing. Like that's part of the reason why I didn't switch to an iPhone because I was like, it stinks all my contacts. But yeah, it is.
I've been really, really cautious about buying things on the Google Play Store or
And the Google Play Store is still, I mean, it's a lot better than it used to be, but it's still pretty shit. The Amazon App Store on Android has always been better.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get at, Eric. I've been really, so this whole time, we're going between Android and we're going between Apple, but I've really have been investing my content into the Amazon marketplace. So I have this walled garden coming on around me, and you can go buy a Fire phone for like 1 cent. That's not an exaggeration, and be totally engrossed in the Amazon marketplace. But nobody's buying that phone because it's a totally different user experience. And I was wondering, like, why wouldn't Amazon just make, they already have an app that works on either iOS or Windows. I don't know if it works on Windows Phone, but
I don't know. I could probably check. We're all using Windows 8, which is basically a Windows Phone, so we could all check on the Windows 8 App Store. But yeah, the Amazon App Store has always been really great.
But that's picking up too. Everybody's creating walled gardens. It's pissing me off.
The Apple App Store on the iPad and all this just leaps it and bounds ahead of that, of all the others, and because they filter out the garbage, which is great, which is something more services need to do. Steam.
But they have to filter out because you're paying on the iTunes Store typically for a product. So I think they want to filter out the crap because A, they have a certain level, but B, they're also trying to make money, so they don't want just everyone throwing some free crap on there.
Yeah, they make a significant portion out of those apps.
You know what really pisses me off? Extremism. Whether it comes to liking phones, cars, religion, any extremism, political parties, it's just really shitty. You should just stay away from it. If you are totally invested in a side and you can't see the good parts of another side, then you need to fucking check yourself. Just a PSA from Joe Cariotti. Follow me on Twitter, bitches.
Well, when I went to pick up my phone and I'm at the front of the line, and of course Amanda followed me there because we were on our way to King Richard's, and so she's standing with me, and the guy's like, "So you picking up 2 phones today? How many phones you get?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just getting myself a 6 Plus." He's like, "Oh, well, what about her?" I'm like, "She just got an HTC 5, Galaxy 5." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "How does that work with?"
A siren goes off and goes, and then these animal catchers grab her around her neck and lead her outside. They're like, "Don't touch it! Don't touch it! Quarantine! Quarantine!"
They put her in a box and just put her in the bag.
So he's like, "I'm not here to judge." He's like, "Are you like brother or sister? Like, what's your religion?" And I'm like, "No, we're dating." He's like, "Oh, that's really weird." I'm like, "Yeah, I tried to convince her to go over to Apple, but she wouldn't come over." I don't get the extremism either. Like, I use I prefer my Windows desktop over my MacBook for most things, but I have a MacBook. It wasn't my choice. If I had a choice, I would have gone with a Windows laptop. But having it, I'm fine with it. It does everything I want for the most part, and it works fine, and I enjoy it a lot.
The roots of this whole thing stem back so far, back when Apple made its own processor archetype, and so
only between Steve Jobs or Bill Gates.
Yeah. So I think that stuff still runs really deep with some people.
Well, it was between Steve Wozniak's design that Steve Jobs is the one who sold the idea of it, or Bill Gates' design, which he took from other people.
Right.
Because he just basically there's a great movie with
Pirates of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, the '90s is so good,
but
it's an
amazing video.
Because Bill Gates I will sell you this operating system, IBM wants it, and he's like, yeah, we'll totally buy that from you. And he didn't have an operating system, so he bought an operating system from somebody for $80, and then he's like, this is my operating system, and that's how he started his fucking billionaire fortune.
That's how
you just have to be able to sell the product. You don't have to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I just think, and that's I think the lesson that Apple's really learned well. And Tim Cook, the new CEO, I watched part of his keynote, and I can.
Did you though? And did you learn part Chinese in the background too? Did you happen to
Yeah,
catch that?
for a little bit. That was embarrassing. That would never happen with Steve Jobs around. Everybody kept saying that. It's like there was never a technical failure when Steve Jobs is around. Tim Cook's a fucking idiot during the keynote.
The problem is there were lots, but because everyone watching was too busy jerking themselves off with a belt around their neck.
Yeah, 'cause I remember with Steve Jobs around, he's like, I know we have like Wi-Fi and all of you are blogging, but if you can hop off the Wi-Fi because we're having some problems with the networking. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, so like I just think that Tim Cook is doing about as well as he could, and he had. What do you guys think of the Apple Watch?
I think Samsung did it 3 years ago.
Yeah, don't talk.
I think we're gonna have to change FitnessPal from using Fitbit to.
I'm Fitbit free, and my hand doesn't itch.
He broke the shackles like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. He just goes,
Yeah.
Is that why we stopped doing the show, Joe? You just giving up?
No, I'm still losing weight and gaining some muscle. Check this out. Bah! Gah! I'm like, oh, holy shit! That just reminded me of something.
Check this out. I'm just with my hand.
That's what you do when you're messing with the glutes.
Yeah.
the Glute Brothers.
Here you tell him, Gluty.
Rudy Gluty.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, you tell him, Rudy. And I'm Tootie. He's
Rudy Gluty?
I'm Tootie, and we're the Galoots.
Rudy Gluty.
Rudy Galoot and Tootie Galoot.
So anyway, speaking of superheroes in a different, I don't know. So I started watching. Guys, this is nerdy.
On this show, I will not stand for it.
I started watching some anime.
By the way, obligatory mention to BlizzCon coming up. All right, I had to get that in there.
No. So I started watching some anime.
What animes you like? You like
Blade.
You like
Naruto.
Naruto?
Shut up, guys. Just shut up. Let me explain. So my friend at work was like, Joe, you need to try this anime. It's called Knights of Symphonia. And I'm like, all right, yeah, let me watch it. And
That's
I started watching it.
That's a Muse song. Already.
That is,
That's
yeah.
my favorite. That's my favorite Muse song.
That's a good one, too. So anyway, I started watching that. I got 2 episodes in and was like, this is stupid. I hate this shit. And I'm like, it's all like pandering, and like the monsters they were fighting were basically just tentacle porn, like touching girls' tits and stuff. I was like, this isn't my thing.
Joe, I'm already interested. You don't have to sell me anymore. How do I find this?
I think it's on Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix.
Because they took Queen's Blade off, so they had to replace it with something that was mildly sexual in anime.
Oh,
is that what? So I fucking hate that.
I saw this. This looked like it just the art style. I haven't
But
watched it
the
yet.
story, like I wanted the story to be good. I wanted it to be interesting. Like it had a lot of cool elements that I know they can expand upon and be really cool. But I couldn't get over the perviness of it.
Have you seen High School of the Dead? Because story doesn't matter at all.
Right.
Yeah,
that's where I realized.
I get where you're going, because a lot of people have been going nuts for this new series called Kill La Kill, which I watched the first episode and it seemed like it's like this weird, like sort of, like it kind of reminds me of Fully Cooley a lot in the art style and then the animation, but it's like this girl who's in a high school that's like surrounded by super people, and she's got it. She's got no.
Bukkake style 29.
No, she's got to like fight and like take down like the top 5 students
down
who
all
like
the
are like the best fighters in the world.
no.
No,
the only way you can pass is
trying-
if you
I'm trying-
gobble these dicks. I will not gobble the dicks. And then it's just like blah 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 blah. That's
Yep,
how.
you guessed it. That's exactly what it is.
how
I
I
was
thought
going
it
to tell a story, but no, fuck it.
That's how I wanted to talk about phones, but you kept stepping all over my dick, Eric. God
Yeah.
damn it.
I'm trying to agree with you. I'm trying to continue the story forward, and you just want to make jokes. That's fine. This is not a comedy podcast. This is a serious journalism podcast. So, anyways,
Tell me about your shitty story.
no, it's just I watched the first episode, and it seems like a kind of adventure comedy kind of thing. And then it gets to like the big fight scene at the end, and then she's like, "I'm super powerful," and she pulls out her weapon, which is half of a scissor, which is kind of interesting because it's like giant. But then she's like, when she powers up, she wears like almost no clothing. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And that's like the whole thing. Like she's practically naked while she fights. I'm like, that's stupid. And like, why do people like this? So I'll just rewatch Attack on Titan, basically.
So, okay, I wanted to watch Attack on Titan. I'm like, okay, let's try this one next. So I went to go watch Attack on Titan. I'm like, what the fuck? There are no subtitles? What the shit? If I wanted to read a fucking book, I'd just wait for Game of Thrones to come out with the next book. I'm not doing it.
There should be subtitles. I haven't watched the next.
No, there's subtitles, but they're not. There's no English dub.
Oh, then why the fuck do you want an English dub? Fuck you. The English dub is coming. They're recording it.
Good.
But
then
yeah.
maybe I'll watch it then.
No, you should always watch it in the original language.
God damn it! I don't have time for the original.
I like how Naruto's like, yes, we're gonna go kill people, and they're like, we're gonna dub that into English. Yes, we're gonna go kill people. I'm like, this is
good job, Naruto.
like it's nothing like let's take all the boobs and everything out that made Naruto what it was and replace it with a 12-year-old.
I probably would like the clean version. I want the rated G version that's not all fucking hypersexualized old Japanese men fucking ogling schoolgirls. It's pissing
then
me
you're
off.
not watching anime. I don't know what you're watching at that point.
There's good ones. Like Attack on Titan doesn't have any of that shit. It's not pandery. That's why I like it a lot.
I don't mind a little bit of boob. All right, I'll watch some anime boob, but it's so like the pandering I don't like.
Yeah,
I
can't
we've seen you without your shirt off. We know you don't mind a little bit of boob.
I understand. There's some good ones. I recently watched the first season of Sword Art Online, which like the first half of that season I really liked. The second half not so much, but it's kind of interesting. It's like these kids stuck in a video game where if you die in the game, you die in real life, and the only way to get out of the video game is to beat it. And like by episode 3, a year has passed or some shit, and it's just like they're just stuck in this video game trying not to be murdered, and people are like, even though that they know that people will die, people are still PvPing. It's just.
So the one anime that after I did my research, because I tried twice, I'm like, oh fuck this, like, all right, and Sarah's like, no, I kind of want to, like it's a different art style than what we're used to. We liked Avatar. Let's give it one more try. I'm like, all right, fine. After we did a little research online, we found Full Metal Alchemist, which is like anime for beginners.
Yeah,
right?
I hear a lot of
the vamped one though, or you're watching the original one?
I'm watching the original one.
I've heard a lot about that like over the years. I've never seen it.
We are pretty deep into the first season now, and it is really, really compelling to watch. Like and they're dealing with issues that are just so big and. It's just a really interesting story, and I actually would recommend it for.
It seems like
now.
There's a huge twist at the end of the entire.
Don't fucking tell me.
I'm just letting you know there's a big twist to look for. So keep your eyes out for it.
Yeah, it seems like I've always thought of Naruto. I've never seen, or not Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, but also Naruto, or like this sort of beginning anime thing. Like, because I had Dragon Ball Z was my big thing.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
That's what got me into it. But also, it's not streaming anymore. I was gonna suggest you watch Cowboy Bebop because that's one of my favorites.
Somebody said start with that one too, and I was like, what the fuck, Cowboy Bebop? That's just a stupid name.
Master Stampede is also.
It's Cowboy Bebop's an incredibly stupid name, but it's not a stupid anime. It's about these bounty hunters from Mars who are poor as shit, trying to survive and track people down and do bounties and stuff.
So I'm 35 episodes into Full Metal Alchemist, the original one.
So and this won't spoil anything, but the next Full Metal Alchemist is a different group, a different company went back and said, oh, they didn't do it right, so we're going to retcon the entire thing, pretend it didn't happen, and do it over again.
Yeah,
what one's the better one? Should I be watching a different?
No, you're watching the right one.
Okay.
The original one is awesome.
Yeah, there's also like I never watched Evangelion, but they started to release they basically remade the show in movie form, and there's 3 out right now, and I've watched the 3, and I'm like, oh my god, I kind of want to go back and watch it just because I don't want to wait another like 6 months or a year for the next movie to come out because it's so fucked up, but good.
So Attack on Titan is probably the one I'll do next, pending the audio is in English, because it's really hard for me to focus on reading and then watching what's happening at the same time. It just takes too much.
How much more Japanese you'll learn Because
I'm
you'll be
not. I
forced to
can't.
listen and read at the same time.
That doesn't happen. I've done that with movies.
And also,
and learn Italian.
I will warn you that mostly the talking is exposition that doesn't fucking matter, and then when they're fighting, it's mostly like go, like whenever they're fighting the Titans, it's just people and a lot of people.
Oh,
screaming
great!
as
Now
they-
I know there's Titans. Great.
Yeah, a lot of people screaming as they're being eaten by giant monsters, which is
Yeah,
always
I
hilarious.
watched like the first few minutes of the first episode. And I was
How's
like,
that any different from Pacific Rim?
Because Pacific Rim, when Idris Elba is like today we're canceling the apocalypse and we're gonna take the fight to them and blah 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 and everyone cheers and then they go out and win. In Attack on Titan, somebody will make an awesome speech about how today's the day that they're gonna win, and then they will all get consumed and then somebody's always like screaming. Usually the leader going ah ah ah, is he being like torn the limb? It's just so fucked up.
That's the kind of shit I like.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is like I really like ending on like a dark note or a note that's like what's gonna happen. Sarah, when she's watching these things, she wants the nice happy ending part, right?
Yeah.
So when you're splitting these Full Metal Alchemist chapters up into 22-minute consumable commercial-free things, they go really fast, but there's very few times where it's ending on a spot that's like, oh, okay, everything's wrapped up,
So
everybody's happy.
So you're going to tell me that you just chain watch them till it's a happy note?
Well, no, I have to put a limit on it. I'm like, babe, do you remember what happened with, I don't know, whatever we watch, Orange is the New Black, and this, like, once you binge watch something, it takes away from the potency and the like, you're using it up too quick. You have to let the feeling build up the feeling and let it make it last. You can't blow your whole load, right? You got to edge it. So
I found that Netflix provides two different feelings. One is that you watch a series and then it's still on TV, but you kind of chain watch it and you're like, but now I don't want to wait till next week to have to watch a new one or 4 months from now. That's one feeling. The other feeling is you chain watch a series that does have an ending, and then just like you said, you get to the end, you're like, well,
now what?
Can I bring it back because I really want to keep
video game. You just sit there and you're like, well, shit. I got to the end credits. What do I do now?
That's why World of Warcraft is so satisfying. There isn't.
That's why I hate when I
true.
finish a book on like that or a TV show. Yeah, when you like all cut it up and you're like, now what's my life? Especially when it's a long. Like I remember, like I rewatched Deep Space Nine. It took me like a month or two to watch every episode of Deep Space Nine because it was on Netflix. And I finished it and I was like, what have I accomplished in my life? Like, what is that? what is there left to do with my life now? Because I finished all of Deep Space Nine. I don't want to watch Voyager because I've seen most of those, and I know I don't like Voyager that much. And now what?
That's how I felt at the end of Snow Crash. I was like, wow, and Ender's Game too. I was like, what the fuck? But then the stuff, what about you can't do. No, it's just like this sinking feeling. It's like I need my next addiction really bad. I need my next fix. You got any more of that entertainment?
Got any more of that binge? I gotta binge watch some animes. I suck your dick for some animes.
Suck your dick for some animes, bro. Please, Netflix. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's weird that I guess you guys feel the same way. So maybe it's not weird. Netflix is changing me.
Yeah.
It is something I don't like.
This is where the anime starts.
It's changed the way I consume media because it dumps, like when they do an original series, they dump it all out. The entire season in one go, so you can watch it like every season of House of Cards. I basically watch in one sitting, and then like same with like Orange is the New Black.
Though.
It is. That's why you just keep fucking watching it, and it changes how I do. Like, it's hard watching regular TV, but at least most of the TV shows I watch are on cable. So when they start a season, they go week after week until it's over. I tried to watch like other shows, like fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just started up, and it annoys me because they'll do like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then take like 2 weeks off, and then do another couple of weeks, and then take like a month off, and I'm like, I can't keep track of when you're doing the show. God damn it!
So that's how I feel about. Oh, you know what I should have? I should have started the Legend of Korra because I didn't finish the last season that was up. Fuck.
It's good. It's all
So
on
yeah,
the
you've told
internet.
me. I know, right? I should have just watched that, but I was too busy looking on Netflix. So anyway, I made a rule. I'm like, all right, no more than 3 or 4 episodes a day. You can only do so much because each episode's like 20, 22 minutes or so. So it's like watching a movie a day, right? Like a shitty movie a day.
I'll have you know, fuck you. I've got like 7 different animes on my instant queue now because we've been talking. I've just been going, oh, maybe I'll watch that. I haven't watched anime in so long, and now I'm fucking falling back into it.
Fucking nerd.
What kind of animes do you guys like?
I watched Avatar. I watched Dragon Ball Z. I watched Pokemon, and I'm currently watching Full Metal Alchemist. I can't think of any others that are actually animes that I've watched. The Legend of Korra, I watched some of it.
I watched Naruto up to episode 132 in Japanese, and then I couldn't get to the torrent site anymore because I went back to college and whatnot. And then they're like, "Oh, it's out on Cartoon Network in English." I'm like, "I'm not watching it in English. I refuse to watch it in English."
That's how I felt like because I watched.
Is that like the book is better kind of thing? Like
it is because it's a different because I watched all of the original Dragon Ball Z in English on Toonami because that was the only way I had. And then when I finished Dragon Ball Z and they weren't bringing GT, I just started downloading it. It was like in 2002 or whatever. So I watched all of Dragon Ball GT in Japanese in Japanese with English subtitles, and it is different when you go back. The person who plays Goku in the Japanese version sounds like Goku because she has been doing it for fucking ever. So they made it more like the way she performs it. It's not the same.
That's cool. I think it's cool when it would be cool if the actors, just learned English.
Well,
wow. Welcome to America.
I'm sure
your iPhone 6s and learn English.
I'm sure a lot of
learn
them
English. Get out of my way. I'm trying to buy an iPhone.
The Japanese, Japanese schools teach English and
I know that.
And Japanese, but it's different. That's why I have a hard time watching the American dubs of Japanese anime because they're just the things that they do, like the sounds they make, aren't the same. Which is why like the English dubs always have them making that weird like because it doesn't. Because they just have to fill, they're like, well, their mouth made a thing, and we have to fill it with something. We can't just have their lips flapping for no reason.
Just drop us anime dicks flying in there. There.
The gun is attacking again. Here comes the anime tentacle porn. Oh my gosh, she's getting...
It's already on my Netflix queue, Joe. You keep talking. I've already given it 5 stars automatically, and now you're just teasing me. Now you're just being
Japanese. Why don't they just make a Netflix? Why don't they just make an anime that's just Japanese schoolgirls?
They have that. It's called.
Every anime except for the 3 I've watched.
No, there's this great one. I forget. I've lost the name of it. It flipped out of my head and it's gone forever. But I'm sure I'll think. But there's this great one that just like it's an anime made for basically made for girls, which means that it doesn't have action or weird tentacle monsters or giant tits. It just has really incredibly solid characters and story arcs and stuff like that. So
all that boring stuff.
No, it's about these girls in high school, and like one of them has like a weird like mythical anime cat, but there's nothing well, there is something pervy about it because like their teacher is kind of pervy, but they're disgusted by him, and he's hilarious in the show. I wish I'd thought about.
You can self-identify with him.
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to be every man. That's what he's supposed to be. That's what he represents in that show. Is it called High School Girls in Trouble?
No. I'll try and... Google! I'll yell at my phone. Google!
Google! It's your time to shine!
What's the animes for ladies?
Did you get it?
I'm looking through a list of animes for ladies. So I'm as soon as I figure it out.
So I had an experience over the last weekend. We're switching topics now.
Go ahead.
Experience over the last weekend. I went to an art fair. out in Adrian, Michigan, which
How'd
is
that work out for you?
I know I like going to art fairs and stuff, but it was kind of cool.
I understand.
There was a lot of good stuff out there, but there was a ghost wrangler.
Ghost.
Yeah, it was. What do you call the ghost people that study stuff? He's like, we got an EVP over here.
Bullshit.
Yeah, the bullshit guy. So there was a ghost wrangler, and he was like Monster Rancher. He was a ghost rancher. And so he traveled around the Midwest using his
ghost monsters.
Does he cross the streams? Because I hear that's bad.
Ghost mons are the champions. Did you do Digimon?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that.
I'm
That
trying
was
to
shitty.
think. I couldn't think of the. I think the Monster Rancher's English thing was like Monster Ranchers, and then like some weird butt rock sound or something. I
Yeah,
couldn't
like
remember.
Monster Rancher, you. Anyway, so I talked to a Monster Rancher, and I went to the Coswell Theater out in Adrian, Michigan. It's supposed to be really haunted. This guy sat there with his recorder, and it clearly it was a cat meowing or like a cell phone going on. Like if you sit there with a condenser mic on, you're gonna pick up weird shit. Your house makes fucking noises, you idiot. Anyway, so I'm sitting through this bullshit presentation, and these people behind me are fucking like kicking my seat and shit, and I'm looking at him like, what the fuck you doing? Like giving him mean looks and shit, and kicking my seat, and there's some commotion happening, and it's these two girls, and there's this troll-looking woman, and this bigger troll-looking woman, and this potato-y-looking girl, right? They're all three in a row. So troll one is like trying to lean over and hit the potato-y-looking girl, and the lady in the middle is like, what the fuck's going on? I think it was like the mom. So anyway, the lady behind me starts yelling, like yelling, like you starting shit with me. You're gonna get fucked up. I'm like, lady. So this is happening. Everybody's like, what are you doing? And they're sitting right behind me. So I'm like, well, I have to go do something about this. So I got up and I'm like, lady, you're ruining everybody's good time. Get out of here. And I yelled at her, and she's like, why don't you shave your beard? And she ran out of the theater.
And you're like, oh, my heart, you've hurt me. Oh.
She's like, why don't you shave your beard? Mind your own fucking business. And then
Madam, you've wounded me.
I know. So as she was walking by, I'm like, oh, great. Now you're ruining it. This guy was clearly like a joke, right? Like this whole thing going on. Everybody's like laughing when he's like bringing up different points. I'm like, oh, great. Now and I'm in a theater, right? And then I became like the performer at this point. I'm like, you ruined the good time for everybody. Now this great evening that everyone was having with this legitimate performer is completely ruined. And people are like laughing and stuff. They're laughing at me. They're laughing at the lady.
And slit his wrist because you referred to him as a performer.
No, he couldn't hear me. I was on the top row. He couldn't hear me. So
he did his condenser mic. He could hear everything.
He was looking. Yeah, maybe. We got an EVP happening. So he's like, he couldn't hear, and he's like yelling up there. He's like, what's going on up there? Like the total theater is just like a mess, and the lights like are like coming on, and like people are running around, and the lady leaves. Like two other guys got up and carried the lady out. Because Sarah was like holding me back because I was like, I'm gonna fight this girl. I wouldn't actually fight her, but I was like, I stood up and Sarah was like holding me down. I'm like, I just want to like escort her out and we could talk it out, right? She's like, that's a bad idea. Sit down, Joe. So anyway, we're sitting there and everything settles down. We're listening to the guy recording fucking leaves rustle in the wind, and he's calling them ghosts, and he's like, oh, this is scary. And then the lady busts in through the theater door again, like, why don't you fight me, you pussy? Why are you? She's like yelling this. There's like children around, and she's calling like this girl sitting behind us a pussy, like the potato-y looking girl. And so finally they both got up and walked out of the theater. And like people are like clapping because they left, and the guy was still terrible. I didn't learn anything about ghosts, but at least that happened. So that it was a pretty amazing time. I went there and I was pretty much almost falling asleep. I was so grateful that happened. I was like, oh man, it's my lucky day. This kind of commotion is what I live for. So that happened to me during Ghost Rancher at the Coswell Theater in Adrian, Michigan, the little spot on a little town, crappy little town.
So I'm going to share something that happened to me yesterday, but mine's going to be an Easter egg that only the people that are watching can actually appreciate, but I'll talk you through it. because I got my new phone, and I realized that I can do slow-mo now at 240 frames per second in high def. And I was like, yeah. And I was talking to the science teacher. He's like, you know what we should try? I'm like, what's that? He's like, you might just be batshit crazy enough to do this with me. I'm like, what are we gonna do? He's like, I have this hydrochloric acid and this zinc. He's like, we should mix it together. That's gonna make hydrogen. I'm like, okay. He's like, we're gonna put it in a balloon, and we're gonna light the balloon on fire. So I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna hold the balloon. Then we get outside. He ties it to the stick so he can get like 4 feet away from it. And we tried to light a candle and hold the candle under the balloon, but the wind was blowing, so it kept blowing out the candle. So I just put on a fire safety glove.
Oh my gosh!
I held the lighter up to the bottom of the balloon, and I decided to try to record it. And because I can do slow-mo, it kicks into slow-mo right, and then just goes up in flames.
Oh, that was sweet, dude. That
So
was like you half transmuted the balloon.
So we took it. We did do it for the kids too, but it was definitely fun lighting balloon on fire in slow-mo and watching the flames just kind of burst out of the edges.
Wait, you just did it for fun first, and they're like, all right, now that we can test it out from.
Yeah, well, we had to make sure that it worked, and then when we knew it worked, we did it again, and then we knew that it worked the second time. So then we did it for the kids, and then after the kids left, we did it twice more just because why not blow shit up? And the principal's like, what are you doing? She saw us walking by with like all the chemicals. We had like glasses on and everything. She's like, what are you doing?
We're not making
We're going outside to do explosions. She's like, I don't think that's safe. Are you guys going to be okay? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. She's like, no, I do worry about it because if you guys blow up into little pieces, we're not covered for that. So we sent one of the janitors outside with a fire extinguisher to watch us just in case we exploded.
Just the janitor sweeps you up into a 55-gallon Rubbermaid drum. You're just like, well, you got to find 2 new teachers. Sorry, principal, your teachers are all combusted now.
Well, see, that would be the upshot, though, because we're there. We've been there for a few years, so they have to pay us more than a new hire. But if we exploded, they could get a new hire in there and pay less money.
Yeah, that's part
Win-win.
That's a win-win right there. And you didn't die all bitchy. You went out in a fucking ball of flames. That's,
yep.
If you're gonna.
I know. He went out like he wanted to, screaming, I'm on fire! I'm on fire! Oh, God! Why did I do this?
But the glutes don't go out that way, so I knew that wasn't my day.
Rudy Gluty and Tootie Gluty.
Yeah, Rudy Galoot isn't going to do it then.
Don't fuck with the gluties.
Oh, fucking finally! This entire time I've been literally trying to find the name of the anime, Azumanga Daioh,
Wow,
or whatever.
that's not even a word. What, you just throw together syllables like backwards?
Hey, it's Japanese for Great King Azumanga.
I think. Wait, was that last one also? Like, do the listeners have to play the track backwards to hear this word?
The devil walks amongst you.
Like my laugh will be like, the devil walks amongst you. You got to play that backwards and see how it sounds, listeners. You know what we got that we didn't use this show?
Emails?
An email.
I guess we actually did. I didn't even check.
I didn't either, because I just assumed.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to talk about it next week.
No, we probably should do it now because
we also still have 5 minutes. I don't know what's with you trying to end the show early, Joe, and start the show before.
I'm not ending the show. We gotta plug stuff, you know. Let's take it easy. Take it easy, buddy.
Sorry. It's the whole being part of the union. I'm required to make sure the show.
You're not
allotted time.
You know what? I went to go check the email, and I'll share the screen for the listeners. Sorry, we can't.
I've got it open.
Okay.
I've got it open too. It just because you're not part of the whole.
The union. Yeah, right.
You lost access to that part.
I'm just fucking dirty non-union scum. Temporary heir, but I love this show.
But I pooped from there.
Not right now, you don't.
So this email's from Daz. It says, an email to the show. Good day from Australia. I've been listening to your show since the very beginning, and every week, well, mostly every week, you tell me to write in an email to the show. So here it is. Actually, we have, but we've just been asking Daz to write in, so I think we can just cancel the show now.
Yeah, after literally 5 years of doing the show, we can finally stop doing it because Daz finally
50
emailed.
episodes in, Daz, you finally did it. Congratulations, man.
So he goes on to say, I have a question for you. If you could live in a tiny house, would you? I've been looking into them lately, and they seem like they'd be really cool. Like, seriously, Google it. I've also found the most amazing arrest ever when he links us to the video of a man. This man knows what's going on, and he might be a little drunk. Anyways, that's my email. Love the show. Carry on forever from Daz. Ironically, we're done.
That's it. That's the show.
Thanks. Finally, we can end it. Thank you for the email. Yeah, we talked about tiny houses a couple episodes back.
That's because I'm thinking about leaving my big house and going to a tiny house because really, what I really want is a Earth spaceship. I think that's the term for it.
I'm gonna Google it now.
Earth
spaceship.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, it's called Earth Spaceship Home. So like Google Earthship, that's what it's called. It's called Earthships. So an Earthship home is a totally off the grid idea that you're basically totally sustainable. You're able to maintain your own power and water and electricity.
Oh yeah, I've seen about that. They're basically like hobbit holes for rich people. It's like all your shit's made out of like natural things or like used bottles and stuff like that, but they're super like efficient and stuff.
Right, so this is actually what I really would like. I never really wanted a house before. In fact, I've considered living in a van with a LTE connection and almost convinced Sarah of it. I was so close. She was actually on board for the idea to save money for our Earthship home. But I gotta actually push the issue a little bit more. But so this is like my second favorite place to live. It basically is a fully sustainable home, but I would make it very small so it's easy to maintain. I live in one of these, like houses that were just stamped into the ground in the mid 2000s and early 90s, and it's nice, but it's just way too much house for what I need. So, little Earth ship on the side of a mountain somewhere. I'm all about it, Daz. Like, I don't know where you live. I don't know if
it's way too much work, dude. I mean, I have pressed down a button to tell my phone to set an alarm for me so that I don't have to press the button to press a second button to get into the clock to set an alarm on my phone. That's too much work. So having to take care of an Earthship that's, self-sustaining, too much work.
No, it's cool because I was thinking like even if I had one of these Earthship homes, I would treat it like a fucking spaceship. I'd be like, our water levels are dangerously low, and like it would be like a thing, like you gotta have a red alert and stuff, and I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be that traumatic. It'd be like the toilet is not flushing right, Joe, and then I'd have to fix it. Like that's really like I'm romanticizing living in.
Yeah, you're like it's so good you live off the grid, and then you're like, fuck. It's going to take 3 hours for the goddamn plumber to get here. This is bullshit. Why did you pick this, Sarah? Why was this your idea?
No, I don't. See, that's the other thing. I want to still do it relatively close to somewhere. So, like, acid rain and things like that are going to be an issue.
Well, no, it's great because they have locations in such great places as Toledo, New Mexico, or Wallaby, Africa. So
okay. So
convenient places.
I want to make an Earthship.
Do you want to live in South Africa or Toledo or Taos, New Mexico? Then yeah, that's
less likely.
Y'all need to get some more Talos in your life.
Yeah. Do you want to live in Talos?
Yes. Who doesn't want to live under Talos? In Talos. Y'all motherfuckers need some Talos. So I would live. South Africa is fucking awesome, from what I hear. Some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life are from South Africa, and now I need to go to Johannesburg or Pretoria because that's awesome. I want to go there. That's on my list of places to go. So, do you guys consider tiny homes at all? I know we talked about it a little bit, but the space home is a new development in my life.
I don't need a lot of room. I mean, I live in an apartment, so we don't have a lot of room anyways. But we have enough. I mean, if I'm just living by myself, I don't need much space. I mean, it's just
7 years living in a dorm room. I don't mind having just the one room. As long as I have a bedroom, a bathroom, and even a tiny refrigerator is really all I need. And access to ramen.
The problem is you just need to live like a gerbil. Like have a little thing where you can just run in it for a little bit.
oh my god, I would love a human-sized hamster
Your feet,
wheel.
then you just like bing, 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 bing.
I would love
Go
a
over
human
here, have,
hamster
like, a
wheel.
hot
'Cause it would-
pocket.
A human hamster wheel might get me to actually start running, because I don't want to go running outside and shit like that. I always feel like I'm not dressed well enough to go outside to run.
Yeah,
Nobody
see,
wants
that's your
to see my
problem. You
fat,
live-
sweaty.
Didn't they
You
make
live
like
in
a human
Hollywood.
hamster wheel and like Double Dare on Nickelodeon back in the day, where you had to get
Yeah.
on and try to run through it?
Then
or
they
something?
realized it was stupid and they invented treadmills.
Dun dun dun! I choose physical challenge. Dun 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 dun. Slime. I think that. See, you need to go jogging in the Midwest, Eric. You need to go jogging into the Detroit area, because no, there's like very few people that are like nobody cares about the way they look. They're like, man, we've been eating fucking beer cheese soup, so now we need to go jogging in our dirty white tea.
Oh, I had some fruit. It's out of a can covered in sugar and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The high fructose sugar packets and anyway,
It's got fruit in the title.
fruit at the bottom of syrup. That's the yogurt that the fit people. Anyway, what is that noise?
I don't know.
What noise? Is it gone? I don't hear anything.
I hear it. So, and I turned off my mic and I can still hear it. So, hey, there it goes. It's Eric. Oh,
It's Eric. All right, I guess it's time to end the show,
Yeah.
Eric.
What's the noise?
it sounds
like
like it's the fan, maybe.
It's probably like a large lizard hissing behind you. It's like, or
All right, and
Eric
It's
is
Voldemort speaking his language.
All right, fine. Fuck it. End the show without me.
No, you end the show. I'm not gonna end the show. I never leave a man behind, Eric. Turn that thing back on and end the show. Let's stop talking about all this horse shit and start plugging each other.
It's like the real thing. You do
Yeah,
it after-
I'm like the store brand version of Oreos. Like Eric's the Oreo, and I'm like the Go. No, okay, no. This is what happens. I'm like the GoBots, and Eric is the Transformer. GoBots, roll in. Eric, end the show. Come on, man. Come out of retirement.
All you have to do
All
is
right,
insult
fine.
him and he'll start talking.
No, this is it. We're done talking about all this horse shit right now. Eric's, and I'm gonna play the role of Eric. That means I can't stop talking until now you pretend to be me, so you have to interrupt me talking.
Well, are you gonna? I mean, you have the right to plug two things.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's stop talking all this horse shit and start plugging each other.
Yeah.
That's not how I sound.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's try that again.
I'm trying to
Let's
fill the-
stop talking about all this horse shit and start plugging each other.
Yeah, I got some stuff to plug.
No, hold on. I'm Eric. I need to talk first. So this week I'm going to talk about two things because I always plug two things. The first thing I'm going to plug is called BreakingFitsLaw.com. It's a comic and it's really funny. You should go check it out. Something about a comedy show. Also, I want to plug a YouTube channel called Errant Signals. Errant Signals is a really good YouTube channel where they talk about video games and stuff. It's linked on the site, justcoolenough.com. Joe, what do you have to plug this week? Oh, I don't got anything to plug because I'm really stupid and dumb. Duh, I'm Eric pretending to be Joe. Ike, what do you got?
I got nothing. I'm really glad that you pretended to be yourself through Eric because I wouldn't have had anything for you either. But you probably left out the obligatory car plug, something to do with cars, maybe.
Oh, yeah, and don't forget to check out shoutengine.com.
That
It's
too.
actually really easy. Joe told me that it wasn't going to be easy, or it was going to be super easy, but I didn't believe him because I think he's full of shit. But then I started using it. I'm pretending to be Eric. And then it was like really easy. And then this is me talking now. Yeah, and now shoutengine.com is serving over 1 million downloads a month. So if 1 million people are doing it, why don't you do it? Hey, Joe, you're so funny. You're the best. That was Eric talking.
So do you see any kickback from Shout Engine? Are you rolling?
No, I do this out of the goodness of my heart.
Somebody else is making your money? By the way, this is
course.
when Eric's supposed to make his second plug. He at least is kind enough to do 2 plugs, but do one and let us plug something, then plug something.
So I'm new at being Eric. All right, I was trying. I
Hard to
tried
be
too
a
hard.
dick.
I think he really left though.
I did figure out that JCE stands for Just Eric Conversing. I was trying to think of something like talking that began with a C, and conversing came to mind. So Just Eric Conversing.
Okay, that is hilarious, and that is going to be the episode title for sure. All right, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Duncor. That's DUNCUR. Make sure to follow me on Twitter SPF40 SPEEBBW. And
I can appreciate the fact that rather than making him look bad, you make yourself look bad. And I don't have anything other. You can follow me on Instagram at Ike_Dodge.
That's it for the show this week. Fuck off, listeners. Hey, what? Hey, why'd you say that? Joe, I always care about the listeners. Oh, yeah, send in emails. Why did you tell them to send in emails? I'm Eric. Yeah, see? My head's going to explode. I can't do this.
Actually, if you want, I can leave too. I usually, rant on for the last few seconds. You could try.
No, that's the end of the show right there. That was it.
Maybe all of us.
I can't do that. I can't handle this kind of responsibility. Hey, I'm Ike. I'm just gonna sit here and not talk about stuff. I got an iPhone. It's really cool. And then
That's the same voice you use for yourself.
God damn it, Eric! Get back on the thing! You popped in on the side of the shot. You just popped in. That's the same voice you use.
I've been laying down. It's not comfortable, so I thought it was funny.
I'm gonna die. That's hilarious.
I'm just laying there.
My face is turning so red because I'm not getting any blood from.
Yeah, I was laying there. Like I've got a second chair here, so I was using that. It wasn't super comfortable, so I had to kind of prop myself up with my elbows.
Did you hear the conversation I had to have with me?
Yeah, I had my headphones on. I was here, like, watching the entire time.
What the fuck? Why would you let me just languish like that?
Because
That
I
was
don't like
company
you
gold.
that much. Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason.
Oh my gosh. That was the end of the show, dude. That's it. That was your chance.
No, why are you still recording?
Another chance. Plug, Eric. Plug.
No, I had nothing anyways.
The day I had 2 plugs to give. Please, please, please.
What you don't understand is that one of the plugs, like when you're walking the beach and you only say one set of plugs, that's because I'm plugging you.
Now I get it. Just what did you call it, Ike?
Just Eric conversing.
Just Eric Conversing.
I was here this whole time. I was just lying there. I was just lying out of frame.
That's great.
All right.
Eric made a rat feel sad about itself. Indeed.
Yeah, I used my bard skill, Vicious Mockery, and made a rat feel so bad it died of shame.
No way, really?
Yeah, because it does 1d4 psychic damage, and so I was like, "Hey, you rat, fuck you!" And then it's like, rat, and the rat dies.
How's your campaign going, actually? Pretty good?
Yeah.
I actually want to hear about it.
Nah, too bad. I gotta go.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.